Last week, I published a video featuring a review on my experience flying 16 hours on British Airways A350 in economy class. I focused on the overall experience and what it was like being 16 hours on board. In today's video, I will focus on the hard and soft product British Airways offers in both their long and short-haul flights, plus some other details that made a difference in my trip. If you are interested to see what it is like to fly BA in 2022 or have a trip with them and don't know what to expect, then stick to this video and I'll get you sorted. Before starting with the review, it is necessary to put this video in context. I flew with BA in February this year on what was a trip with my school. I flew from my hometown in Buenos Aires to London Heathrow via Sao Paulo. We had a connection at London Heathrow and then flew that same morning to Edinburgh, Scotland, which was our final destination at the time. Then, after 3 weeks around the UK, we flew back from London to Buenos Aires via Sao Paulo again. By the way, all of the flights have their trip reports in the channel, should you want to check them out. Let's now get on board and see what the experience was like. Both the outbound and return flights from Buenos Aires to London and London to Buenos Aires were operated by British Airways' newest aircraft, the Airbus A350-1000. I was really looking forward to this flight, as it would be my first time not only with British, but on the A350 as well, and really wanted to see what this new BA bird looked like. My first impression of the cabin was good. It looked quite modern and nice overall. Sometimes when you board a plane, just by taking a look at the seats, you get a not so good impression. This was, however, not the case this time. Also, BA had boarding music until we pushed back from the gate, which gave a classy vibe all around. I liked that. The seat features on this economy class cabin were pretty much the average ones. Nothing that you would not expect to have, nor any surprises either. Coat hook, in-flight entertainment screen with audio and USB ports, some storage space for magazines not in use due to COVID, a foldable adjustable tray table, the seat pocket, which was quite spacious, and the universal power outlet below the seat. Legroom at the first glimpse also looked good. Nothing extraordinary, but at the same time, some of the best I've had in the long-haul flights I've done so far. Surprisingly, the seat resulted to be very comfortable over the length of the flight as well. It did not feel hard, and the legroom while reclining the seat and having the one in front reclined as well was pretty good. I've had experiences in airlines, namely American, in which when you recline your seat, your cushion moves forward so your legroom is significantly reduced. This, however, was not the case in BA. I had some good space for my legs all throughout the flight, which was very pleasant. Before we get into the soft product, let me make a comment about the in-flight entertainment system. If you have watched some of my videos in the channel, then you might know that I don't usually use it for more than looking at the in-flight map and eventually watching some documentaries. I am not a movie guy, for example. However, I must say that from what I saw, the selection of movies was really good. It featured some new releases as well as some classics, so if you're a movie fan, you'll definitely have something interesting to watch during your flight with BA. Moreover, the in-flight entertainment system had a nice selection of documentaries and TV shows, some of which suited me pretty well. As you might imagine from watching this, I'm a sports guy, so I later on got entertained watching one of these documentaries. Apart from movies and TV shows, there were some games and a selection of music albums as well. When it comes to music, I always recommend bringing your own music downloaded into your phone, iPad, computer, whatever. For an airline, it is understandably quite difficult to feature something that fits the musical likes of each passenger, so it will be better for you to have your own. Same for the headphones. Usually, when flying economy class, the quality of these is pretty bad, so if you have your own pair, the experience will be much better. There was also a shopping menu in the IFE, nothing that I would use though, and finally, the in-flight map was good as well. It provided some handy information about the flight, but was not as interactive as I would have liked. Also, it did not feature any external cameras. That being it for the in-flight entertainment system, It is worth mentioning as well that BA provides Wi-Fi in their fleet, both in long and short-haul flights, at least in my experience. We'll talk about the short-haul experience later on, but in this 16-hour flight, the prices were £19.99 for the whole flight or £11.99 for 4 hours. I guess that if you need to do some work, if you purchase it at the beginning of a flight, it might be worth it. However, this being a night flight, I don't know how much one would be able to work. I also don't know what the speed of the Wi-Fi is because I did not purchase it. Anyway, it is good to have the option for those who might need it, I guess. Let's now talk about the soft product, aka the in-flight service. This flight being 16 hours from start to finish, there were 3 services on each of them. Lunch, dinner and breakfast when we left from Buenos Aires bound for London, and on our way back it was dinner and 2 breakfasts. What surprised me the most was actually the service in the short hop from Buenos Aires to Sao Paulo and then in the return leg. Usually, if you fly that route with any Argentinian or Brazilian carrier, you will not receive more than a little snack and a drink, if you're lucky. There are many other international airlines operating in the route, such as Ethiopian, Air Canada and Swiss for example, and I really don't know whether they serve anything or not, but what BA served was very impressive for the market. The service is probably intended for those who are flying all the way, but those who step on board just for the short hop also receive it. On our departure flight, it was lunch, which came in a snack box. Inside of it were a sandwich, which all of my mates got ham and cheese and I got vegetarian for some reason, but anyway. Then a quinoa salad, which was good, a bottle of water, and a chocolate for dessert, which was great. All in all, this was a very big surprise. Then, in the return flight, it was served before arriving into Buenos Aires from Sao Paulo, and was slightly different due to the time of the day it was. This time it was breakfast and consisted of a cheese and tomato croissant, again, I don't know why, vegetarian option for me, then a muffin, a yogurt and a bottle of water, apart from the drink of each passenger's choice. Again, great stuff by BA on this 2-hour-and-a-half flight. Now let's take a look at the most important service of each flight, which was dinner in both cases. I have mixed feelings about it. On the outbound flight, after departing from Sao Paulo, I was offered chicken or pasta. I tried to go for the second option, but it was not available anymore. I had to settle with chicken, which, to my surprise, was really good. So were the potatoes it came along with. It was a very tasty meal. A shame I could not eat the dessert though. It was a passion fruit thing, which is not very much to my liking. Apart from that, it came along with a bottle of water and a salad, which I also did not quite like. On the other dinner I had, departing from London Heathrow, options were the same if I'm not mistaken. This time, I went for the vegetarian pasta option. At the end of the day, it was going to be some kind of pasta, I thought. It couldn't be bad. Unfortunately, it ended up being some kind of rice with some incredibly spicy thing on top. I am not a big fan of spicy food, so I could not eat the whole thing. I messed up with my choice, but it would have been nice to know that it was a spicy option in advance. The salad was something strange as well, which I didn't bother to open, and this time though I could eat the dessert, a chocolate and caramel thing, which was amazing. Finally, let's take a look at both breakfasts at once, because they were rather similar. One of them was served in a box, the other one in a bag, but the contents were pretty much the same. I must say I liked everything on them, which is a positive thing as I don't usually like breakfast on planes, but they could have made something better. It is the tendency nowadays not to serve any hot options for breakfast, at least in this kind of flights operated by Western airlines, but it is not good. It just seems like they are massively trying to cut costs, which for an airline like BA is not a great image. I repeat though, I was still happy with what I got both times. So, as you have seen by now, BA's catering is decent. Nothing too special, but good overall. There is one last thing I would like to point out before I give you an insight into the short-haul experience. This is no less than their personnel. British Airways personnel have been really nice all throughout our trip. All of the crews have been really nice, and there were two gestures which I'd like to highlight. Firstly, upon our arrival into London Heathrow on our outbound flight, the cabin manager, Steve, said some very warm words to our group when he was announcing how to proceed for deboarding. Unfortunately, I did not manage to film those, but it was something like wishing us a very nice trip to all of the group that, in spite of being uneasy throughout the flight, which he was right, it was a very nice experience and wished us the best weeks around the UK. It was no more than a gesture, of course, but he had no need to say anything about that. So it was a really nice start to the trip. And then, the other thing I want to highlight is at the same place, London Heathrow Airport, but 3 weeks after, the day of our return flight. Being all teenagers, many of my mates arrived at the airport with overweight baggage, due to excessive purchases throughout the 3 weeks. It was not my case though, but I then regretted this, as all of them were allowed the extra weight and in some cases, an extra suitcase as well. This probably was because we were a very big group and if they had to charge the excess one by one, it would have been a complete mess. Anyway, it was really nice from BA, as in the end, they did not apply the rules to us. For me though, it was not that nice, as I had been weighing my bag till the last gram and had fitted a lot of things in my handbag so as not to exceed the permitted 23 kilograms. This could have easily gone in the suitcase without any problem and would have gained me some comfort for the flight. But well, I was still happy for my mates who managed to save some money. Finally, I want to make a quick comment on BA's hub at London Heathrow. It is really nice. I was not expecting it to be like that. It does not really have any reputation for being too fancy, but from the moment I got into Terminal 5, it felt spacious and modern. I was really surprised and I hope I can come back sometime in the future to explore it a bit more, as at the time we were in a rush and I couldn't see much of it. Having mentioned this, if you want to see my reflection after being on board for 16 hours and listen to my final thoughts, you can go check my last video on the channel. All I can say now is that the experience was all in all very good. Now, let's take a look at what the experience was like in the short-haul segment between London Heathrow and Edinburgh. Again, I had the opportunity to fly in what is probably the newest aircraft type in British Airways' short and medium-haul fleet. This is the Airbus A350-1000. This time, I was also surprised by the cabin when I boarded, but not for good. Seats at the front are really nice and seemed really comfortable. I was really liking what I was seeing until I made it to the second half of the cabin, where we all had our seats, and found out that these were slimline. I did not like that. I mean, again, this is a tendency a lot of airlines are following, but from the passenger's perspective, it is not good at all. Once I settled down, I realized that the space was also pretty bad. Legroom was tight and the seat was basic, to say the least. It just featured a coat hook, a small tray table, low-cost style, and a little seat pocket. There was also a USB charging point below the seat, but it did not work throughout the flight. Fortunately, it was just a short hop of less than an hour up to Scotland, so I did not have to be on the seat for very long. However, I assume that these aircraft are usually scheduled on longer routes, so I don't know how nice it would be to spend 3 or 4 hours on one of these. I was not really expecting any service on this short flight, but there was something. A bottle of water and a little snack, which was a cereal strawberry bar. There was no choice, neither of beverages nor snacks, so well, it was what it was. It's something, at least. Wi-Fi was also available on the A320neo for a cheaper price this time. It was £5 for the whole flight, which ended up being less than an hour long. For a 1-hour flight, in my case, it was definitely not worth it. Maybe if you have a daytime flight of 3, 4, 5 hours and have a lot of work to do, it might come in handy. But as I mentioned previously, you don't really know how much its speed will let you do either. Once again, I would like to highlight the crew on this flight. It was a really short one, but from the little interaction I had, I could perceive that they were really happy doing their job, or at least that was the impression. which is always very nice to feel. To be honest, I don't really know what BA's competitors in Europe cabins look like, but this is the trend that most airlines are following. More and more, airlines are adopting similar characteristics to what the low-cost carriers do, to fit as many passengers as possible and to give that extra comfort to those who pay more. Would I recommend BA or not for these short flights? I don't know. If you can find a good deal, of course. If not, just see what your best options are. These days, all airlines are pretty much the same. Just make your numbers and see which price is better, bearing in mind the flight, baggage allowance, and proximity of the airport of operation. From the experience I have flying in Europe, which is not much, KLM was probably the best. They served a whole meal on a flight from Madrid to Amsterdam 3 years ago, and their cabin was way better than BA's, which is even newer, and also from Air France's, which is the other airline I've flown around Europe. Anyway, this is it for today's recap on my experience flying with British Airways, both long and short haul, in 2022. Have you had the chance to fly BA? What was your experience like? Also, what is your favorite airline to fly with in Europe? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've made it to this point, thank you very much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos. There are some very cool ones coming soon, so stay tuned. On to the next one.